kept getting appraisals on the house, prior to even starting building. I had the plans appraised, had it appraised when we first started building to get the construction loan, had it appraised when we were halfway done in December of '07, and had it appraised when we were getting the permanent construction as late as August of 2008. It appraised at $879,000.
Wow, $879,000. Looking back, are you glad you made that purchase?
Well, financially speaking, no.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious now, 2009, looking back, as we're looking at pictures of this beautiful dream home, what would you do differently?
Well, if I knew then what I know now,
right.
I would not have built the house. I would have put the money into the houses that I have and paid them off, and just probably buy a spec house that contractors are building now that are similar to what I have now. It a lot less, 60 or 70% of the value.
So you find yourself underwater. A lot of people do. 1 in 5 homeowners, in fact, 20% of people that are homeowners find themselves in a similar predicament. What's your short-term plan? Well,
my problem was really that, within a 2-week period, the appraisal changed from $879,000 to $585,000. So I lost, approaching $300,000 between August 6th and August 18th. I owed about $65,000 more on the construction loan than what the last appraisal was. So I had a lot of trouble trying to get that $65,000 financed. And, that was as of June of last year. We moved in. About 2 weeks ago, I got the permanent financing for the second mortgage established. The bank decided to do it in-house, so they were able to do it. The thing that's really got me is if I'm a homeowner that has an existing mortgage and I am in good standing on that mortgage, is there any assistance to help me refinance to take advantage of the current interest rates?
Yeah, I can hear you, Rick. It's nice to hear your voice.
Hi.
Yes, hi. There are things that you can do. First of all, if your loan to value does not exceed 105% based on the bank appraisal, and one of the things I had talked about when we couldn't hear each other was that the bank appraisals are going to vary drastically by bank, so you're going to want to shop this thing around. But the homeowners, you can refinance your existing mortgage if you're not above 105% of the loan to value. That means that you don't owe more than 105% of what the home is worth. Yes, you can refinance. If the home value, it sounded like you were just below the jumbo market rate, would probably be in the low 5s if you have good credit. So that's an outstanding rate. So you can do that through your existing bank. But what I would recommend that you do is go to a community bank. And the reason I suggest that is right now they're not having an issue with asset allocation and determining what the values of their properties are worth. They didn't do the subprime loan thing very much. And so they're offering a lot more assistance to people. The other thing is around mid-April at whitehouse.gov, you will be able to see exactly who to call to route your mortgage concern and issue through loss mitigation that is Fannie and Freddie backed. That means it's going to be a lot easier for you to get a modification without having to go through a full refinance if for some reason you don't qualify for that.
Gotcha. If the house value is over, like I went from being 75% loan to value or 76% loan to value to 111% loan to value, that difference of about $60,000, what can I do with that?
Yeah, then what you're going to have to do is not a refinance, but a modification. So the very first thing I would do, I don't know if you've already done this or not, but you should call the loss mitigation department. And if the very first person that answers the phone doesn't help you, ask to speak with a manager. I've done it myself. And tell them that you are 111% LTV based on their appraisals, and see if there's something they can do to drop the principal. It's called a principal write-down. And if they believe that you're at risk of foreclosure or you have one of several loan types that's considered high risk, that could be a negative amortization loan, which is when you can pay less than the interest every month. If you have a subprime loan, they are willing right now to go through and back out some of the principal that you owe so that you are eligible to either refinance or modify the loan.
Okay. The one last question I really have is people who are in good standing with their loan, they bought a house a year or two ago, and they just decide to walk away because it's not the financially smart thing to do, is to stay with the house. Is there any, other than a hit on their credit, is there any repercussions? Will their assets be seized and applied towards the the difference of what it's sold at foreclosure and what they owed or anything like that? Is there going to be any type of punishment or any way to stop them from having or getting to go buy another house, at the current market rates?
There is. Well, first of all, in terms of there being some sort of legal punishment, no, there's not. People are actually buying and bailing intentionally. I know that sounds terrible, but I'm watching it happen in the marketplace. I'm watching people blog about it. They're letting their home go and they're buying another one right before they go into foreclosure on purpose. So we have a huge moral hazard issue. That is a huge concern to a lot of people. I think that's why the poll numbers supporting these types of things are probably so low. But here's the good news for people that are paying their mortgage that don't want to see those people get into another mortgage and bring the market down. There was that debt that they owed, that $60,000, for example, in your example, would be forgiven by the government and not even taxed anymore. As of 2007, you would have been taxed on that difference. You're not taxed on it anymore. However, it is going to be incredibly difficult for those homeowners to buy a home in the next 7 years because a foreclosure on the record stays for at least 7. And all of the delinquent payments are going to knock that credit score down into the 5s, and those people are going to have a very difficult time in an already tight market getting some sort of new loan.